welcome back to another day of Vlogmas, and today it is day 10. So today we are running through my best books of 2024 so far, but because it is day 10 we have got my next parcel on my advent calendar to unwrap. So let's see what we have got today. Okay, so today we have got Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogle. This one is another festive romance. It follows Betty, who boasts an extravagant lifestyle on social media, but the reality is quite the opposite. She is broke and her family has no idea. She drunkenly plays a record of All I Want for Christmas Is You backwards and accidentally conjures up Hall, a charming and handsome man who is the literal embodiment of the Christmas spirit. What's more, he has the power to make all of Betty's holiday wishes come true. He poses as her fiance, and it is a Grumpy Sunshine kind of fake dating. I think that sounds really, really cute. I'm excited to read it. So, best books of the year so far. These ones I'm going to go through in the order that I read them, and I haven't included any rereads. So I have, at the beginning of the year, I reread the Crescent City series. I haven't included them. They were rereads. So even though House of Earth and Blood was my top rated book of the year, it doesn't count. I've read it before. Actually, that's a lie. I have included some rereads. One reread. But it's fine. That one doesn't count because of reasons. Anyway, let's just get started, shall we? These are in the order I read them, like I said. So this isn't like my best of work, like this isn't in order of favourites. But the first favourite that I read, first 5-star, The Last Passenger by Will Dean. I know that this book has thoughts around it, but I loved it. It is set on a cruise ship, and our main character wakes up in the morning and everybody has disappeared. I just thought it was fantastic. There's like 4 of these people left on this cruise ship, and there was suddenly this voice telling them to do all these challenges, and it is being streamed. This had me intrigued. This had me just on the edge of my seat, and I devoured it. I am very excited to read more by Will Dean. I had such a fun time with this one. I'm running out of room everywhere, so I'm just going to have to chuck them on the floor. Next, we've got Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. I really enjoy Lynn Painter, particularly her adult books. So this one is the first in the Mr. Wrong Number series. It is followed by The Love Wager? Yeah, okay. This one is followed by The Love Wager. I really enjoyed The Love Wager when I read it last year. I've now read Mr. Wrong Number, another 5 stars. I really, really had a great time with it. Yeah, it was fun. It was so much fun. This one follows our main character, Olivia. She accidentally burns her flat down and ends up living with her brother and her brother's flatmate. She then ends up texting this guy, but realizes she has got the wrong number. They end up speaking towards each other, but little do they know that who it is that they are talking to each other, and it's just very cute. I had a lot of fun. Next, this one is a stand-in for the whole series, Saga. So it actually was like volume 6 onwards that became 5 stars, but this whole series is incredible. The end of volume 9 broke me. I was in floods of tears. Throughout the book, I was just crying my eyes out and laughing out loud. Love these characters, love this story. I had so much fun. Highly recommend reading Saga if you haven't already, but if you love a sci-fi romance that spans worlds and has so many amazing characters, I just had so much fun with this book, and I really, really, really loved it. I haven't continued on to volume 10 yet because I wanted to wait for more volumes to come out before I continued, because I do, basically. The next book that I read that was 5 stars is Girl Goddess Queen by B. Fitzgerald. This one was a complete shock to me. I was not expecting to enjoy this book as much as I did. When I read this, I was like, YA fantasy, I don't really read YA fantasy. It's going to be me. I'll read it, but I'm not going to love it. 5 stars, one of my favourite books of the year. Started my infatuation with B. Fitzgerald. I loved it. It's fantastic. This one is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and the way that B. Fitzgerald positions Hades and Persephone and has them discussing things like familial trauma, generational trauma, things like how do you deal with your family when you don't necessarily agree with your family. Just everything about this book was incredible and I loved it. Next, this one was a reread, but like I said, it doesn't actually count, and that is Dustman Baby by Jacqueline Wilson. The reason it doesn't count is I last read this book in, like, I don't know, about 2004, so it doesn't count, okay? But this book stood up. I loved it when I read it as a child. I loved it as I read it as an adult. Fantastic. Amazing. This book made me cry so much. It follows April. April was abandoned as a baby, newborn, found in a bin. And here on her 14th, I think, birthday, she is trying to find where she came from, and she's kind of backtracking through her history, and it was fantastic. Next, we've got The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchinson. This book came as a recommendation from my friend Lex, and I kind of, because it was a Lex rec and it's a dark thriller, I was kind of expecting that I was going to like it. I wasn't expecting that I was going to love it. So you can see I have tabbed, can you see? But I've tabbed it up, I've highlighted throughout. I was shocked, twisted, blown away. So much about this book just made me kind of like jaw on the floor shock. I will say, check your triggers before picking this one up. There are many triggers and it is very, very dark, but it was fantastic. Next we've got Funny Story by Emily Henry. This has been my favourite Emily Henry. I loved it. It was fantastic. I find it a really hard book to describe. You've basically got 2 characters who are in relationships. They break up and because 2 of them start dating each other, and then the other 2 end up living together and they start dating in a nice little square. But it was brilliant. It was fantastic. I loved it. I do think that part of my enjoyment for Funny Story was completely coincidentally. We were on a work trip to Italy, and like I said, completely coincidence, about 7 or 8 of us were reading Funny Story, and so just kind of having that group community read of the book just made it so much better, but I thought it was fantastic. Next one, talk about Clanlands by Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish. This one is a complete random one. It's the story of these 2 actors travelling in a camper van through Scotland. I listened to it on audiobook and I thought it was fantastic. I had so much fun with it. I loved learning about different parts of Scotland. I loved their banter. I loved listening to their lovely Scottish accents. I just had a great time. Then we've got Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. This book broke me into about 500 pieces. There is a vlog of me reading this one and the tears are pouring down my face and I am ugly crying. Like, you know, not just like a little tear and like but like proper wailing sobs. This book hurt, but I loved it. This is book 3 in the Greenbone saga. It does take a little bit of time to get into, but it's well worth it when you get there. Then I read Heartstopper Volume 4. I love it. It's fantastic. Yeah, I had a really, really great time with this one. With this one, Charlie is going through, I don't want to spoil anything, but Charlie is going through things and Nick is trying to work out how he can support Charlie. And it ends up that Charlie actually just needs professional help. This, as someone who has been through the same situation as Charlie in this book, this one touched me so much. It hurt, but I had a fantastic time and I really, really enjoyed it. Then we have got Reckless by Lauren Roberts. This is the second book, the sequel to Powerless. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I had a really, really fun time. This whole series I've loved. Fantastic. 5 stars. Love it. Nothing more to say. Next up, I've got Illuminate by J. Christoph and Amy Kaufman. I had actually put this book off for years because it is told in very mixed media. You know, there's photos, there's transcripts that is covered in like blood. There's how do you read, where was it? How do you read that page? Or there's in some of the ones where there's, you know, it is so mixed media that I was actually quite intimidated to start it because I was like, I don't know how to read it. But it turns out you just, you know, follow the pages and read the words. I loved this book. 5 stars, fantastic. I could not put it down towards the end. I was absolutely obsessed. Yeah, incredible. Absolutely incredible. If you like, I was going to say if you like a sci-fi or a space opera, read this, and yes, do. But also if you just want like a kind of really twisty story that sucks you in and has just incredible characters, I think you would enjoy this one. Next on my list is The Deal by Elle Kennedy. So I love this book. Again, if you've been watching my channel, you will know that I am absolutely obsessed now with Elle Kennedy. This one follows Hannah and Garrett, and she's top of a class. He needs help with it. They end up making a deal that if she helps him study for this class, he will fake date her to make her seem more appealing to the football player that she fancies. And of course it doesn't end like that. But, oh, I love this book so much. I had so much fun reading this book. Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean. This one completely surprised me. I was not expecting to love this as much as I did. This is a cozy fantasy following a woman who looks after phoenixes in the zoo. And she puts forward a proposition to be the keeper of, to basically set up a new breeding centre for phoenixes. She wins that. It means that she then needs to get help from all of these people. She's incredibly, has a lot of social anxiety, doesn't want to ask anyone for help because she doesn't like speaking to other people. The one person who could really help her is kind of her enemy, her rival from school. I loved it. I loved the characters. I loved the plot. I want a phoenix. Like, everything about this I thought was fantastic. Next, I read Daydream by Hannah Grace. This one is book 3 in the series. And again, 5 stars. I loved it. I will, however, say that this is not my favourite of the Maple Hills series. I can't decide if I like Icebreaker or Wildfire more. Reading this one made me want to reread the rest of the series. I really liked it. I thought it was like, it's 5 stars and it's fantastic, but it's not as good as the other 2 in the series. And really that just means the other 2 are like 10 stars. That made sense. The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. Okay, this book is a chunky boy. Oh my God, it's so good. It is so good. I can't tell you what is happening in this book because there's so much, and yet it is so slow, and just it sucks you in and you want to know more about every single family, and you get so involved in every character, and I just thought it was fantastic. Then we have got my second B. Fitzgerald, The End Crowns All. Again, 5 stars. I loved it. This one is a Helen of Troy retelling, and Cassandra, and I just thought it was fantastic. One thing I will say is that, and I think this is maybe just like, might just be like my own because of how much I loved Girl Goddess Queen and I read it first. I do prefer Girl Goddess Queen to The End Crowns All, but it's like a fraction of a millimetre between the two. And I think that the reason that Girl Goddess Queen has that special place in my heart over the Encranzal is just because I read it and I loved it so much when I wasn't expecting to. But I went into the Encranzal expecting to love it, and I did. So that was great. Next, my second Elle Kennedy, The Mistake. This one is book 2 in the series. And this one follows Logan and Grace. And this one I thought was super cute. We've basically got Logan, who ends up hooking up with this freshman, Grace. And he can't get her out of his head. He ends up trying to do everything to kind of like win her back and have more than a one night stand. And she's just like, yeah, no, like it was fine. And he's like, what? Fine. It was fine. No. I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. I have read the 3rd book in this series, which I did really enjoy, but it did only get 4 stars. It didn't make the 5-star list. And then my final book on this series, on this list that I want to talk about, is A Jingle Bell Mingle by Julia Murphy and Sierra Simone. This is book 3 in the Christmas Notch series, and honestly, I loved it. I love the series. I love everything about it. But this book was just everything. This one follows Isaac and Sunny. Isaac, he lost his wife about 5 years ago and has been locked up, depressed, and a complete recluse since then. Sunny is a very outgoing woman who she kind of has dabbled in porn, she's dabbled in directing, she's dabbled in writing, she kind of does a little bit of everything. But underneath all of that, there is an anxious person who's kind of just never feeling like she is good enough. I love these two together. I think that's it. I just loved that book so much. I kicked my heels giggling. I was actually laughing out loud. I was crying real tears. I love that series so much. I'm probably going to end up like rereading the Christmas Notch series every year because I just think it's fantastic. So there's that. So that is my best books of the year. I don't actually know how many books I talked about because I didn't count them up. I could count them up. I think there were 19 books that I talked about then, which is a very weird number, but they are my 5-star books of the year. Let me know if you have read any of the books that I have mentioned. Let me know what your thoughts on them are. Are any of them your favourites, or do we have different taste? Let me know what your top book of the year has been so far. And if you like this video, please leave me a like, subscribe down below. If you want to just leave me an emoji to let me know you were here, leave me in any coloured heart for, you know, favourites. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.